goodness me. Welcome along to this week's Live to Pitch TV. I'm Mark Murphy, brought to you in association with our main sponsor, DPS Tech. A massive thank you to our other sponsors as well. All About Hearing, marketing company Ginger Pickle, Forward Floors, Come Hither Design, the Hudson Group, Sound 4 Pro Audio, Venue 16, Fred Olsen Logistics, and John Keeble Cars from Bramford. Let me introduce you to the team. Former Ipswich and England skipper Terry Butcher's here. Former Ipswich... Former Ipswich and England international Russell Osman's here. We've got choir in tonight, haven't we?
What a great crowd.
Yes,
fantastic.
I think their tonsils have been well
lubricated,
judging by the amount of beers that have been.
Well, we're a few minutes late starting this week, so perhaps that's the way to do it in the future. Get them well oiled first.
Yeah, and this is the best crowd we've ever had.
You're the best crowd. Fantastic. Sadly, though, disappointing news for you and for you listening or watching. No Phil Ham this week.
Who are you?
Instead, it's Ted Lasso, everybody. We've got Richard on technicals. We've got Mark Calver on technicals, our floor manager, Leslie Dolphin, and welcome to you, our capacity crowd, and to you, wherever you're watching or listening to the show. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us with our viewing figures and helps the channel keep going. People keep saying to me, do I have to pay if I subscribe? No, it's absolutely free. You've all subscribed, have you? Yeah. Excellent. Good. That's good. Doesn't cost a penny to do it, does it?
No.
No, okay. I'm asking the least technical one amongst us, I think, aren't I?
Well, you speak to Russell.
Oh, John.
It's going to be one of those nights tonight. Feel for me, won't you? Feel for me. I just feel it. So please subscribe if you can, and don't forget, check out our website. We've got tickets for our Christmas special, which is coming up on November the 30th. Everybody got tickets for that yet? Yeah. Clearly one or two.
Still a bit of time to go.
Still, it's going to be a sellout, so get your tickets early. Plus on there, mugs and T-shirts up for grabs. I mean, I've got one of our Live to Pitch TV mugs here. Russell's got one over there as well. They're very nice. You can get those from our website.
But Mark, is there tea in there?
It looks like tea.
Yeah. Doesn't taste like tea, does it?
Doesn't taste like tea, no.
Okay.
Well, I've got to join in with the crowd, Terry.
Yes,
get.
Well, you need it. I think so.
It's very tasty, very nice. Good describe. It's definitely not tea. Anyway, lots to talk about tonight, and we must first of all say what a great show last week. Did all of you see Pat Gobbold last week? She was wasn't she great? 88 years old and as sharp as a pin, and I'm worried that Phil's not here because he's still recovering from being put down last week by her.
What a moment that was.
Yeah, it was great, wasn't it?
What a moment.
That was great. No, she's a lovely lady, and she enjoyed it immensely. So I drove her home, and she was talking. I thought she'd talked herself out on the show, but no, she was talking away in the car. It was great. It was like having a sat-nav sitting right next to you. It was unbelievable. or Alexa, yeah. But no, she was good, and I took her back, and it was quite dark where she lived. So she had a torch. She in her handbag. She had a torch. So she was actually showing me the way, not herself, showing me the way. So I was escorted to her home by an 88-year-old lady. But she went inside and turned the lights on and everything else, and put her flowers down. She really loved it. Absolutely.
She rang me the day after to say that they were all watching it down at Portman Road. They got it up on a big screen for her to watch at Portman Road, and they were all huddled around watching and hearing her stories, which was I thought was a really nice touch, actually.
I think that was just episode 1, Mark, wasn't it?
Well, the amount of people, Russ, who have said, when's she coming back?
Well, I mean, she comes out with new stuff all the time, which is amazing, really. One, that she's got such a fantastic recall of what went on all that time ago. But every time it's another new story. It's another new story. There's different variations of one or two that we've heard before. But blimey, she doesn't half dig them out, and there are some funny ones there. And I'd love to know the ones that she didn't want to tell.
Yeah. Perhaps we should do a late night edition, I think, one week. Just put one of those little red crosses in the corner like Channel 4 used to do. But, I mean, what an era for her to have... Well, so many eras for her to have lived through and worked through. And next year, 70 years at the club. She's been there 69 years already.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit like Bobby when the gaffer came in the 60s, and he went through all the different generations to the 2000s at Newcastle. He adapted. He got through. He got used to things, and he had his way of working. But different people came in, and especially with Pat, different managers came in. But those years spent with Bobby were her favourite, and obviously one of our own favourite because we were part of it as well. But she was always great to go to when we were at Portman Road. You talked to her. She didn't. She came across, told you how it was, didn't pack any punches. No. But she was a lovely lady for us.
Yeah, she was a confidant, wasn't she? If you got a problem, you could always take her to Pat. Where it went from there, you didn't know. But, Pat would always come back with you and say, we've sorted that issue out if you had a little issue or two. But football clubs are great for that because you must go back to some places, Terry, that you've played before, like Rangers probably, that there's still people at football clubs working at the club that were there 30, 40 years ago. There's people down at the football club now at Ipswich. Don't go back quite as far as Pat, but some of the staff there, the stewards, have a chat with them, and they've got great recall of what used to go on down there. It's fantastic, and all clubs have that sort of personnel around there.
Well, it's important, isn't it, when you look at the fan base and the youngsters starting now, going right through to people up in their 80s, 90s, and around 100 years old as well. And they've all got their own memories, their highlights, the moments that they treasure and they love the most. And so I think, we shouldn't forget our past. We look forward to the future, but we shouldn't forget the past either.
No, I was talking to Harry Clark last week. I had the pleasure of meeting him down at Portman Road. And we were talking about the fact that when we played, we only had one substitute, which he found hilarious. He didn't believe me either. He said, "What, you only had one substitute?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "We've got, 9 on the bench?" 9. He said, "We can use 5." He says, "I can't remember there ever being only one substitute." Mind you, he's only 22 years old now,
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let me tell you, as someone who's the PA announcer and back for the Plymouth game, everybody, hopefully. Thank you. The worst thing is we try and do the attendance on 70 minutes. So you just get the attendance figure to do. Then Connor Chaplin bangs one in. And then there's like 8 substitutions. There's 4 for Town and 4 for the opposition. And to try and do all that on the PA at one point is it's nigh on impossible. So I would love there to be one substitute again.
So are you saying that you can't do it?
I'm saying it's a bit of a struggle at times, Terry.
It was a bit of a struggle. Well, I've never seen you struggle at all. Come on now.
I cover it up very well, I think. Anyway, she was great. And we should get Pat back, shouldn't we? Definitely for more on that wonderful stuff. Internationals, you watched England.
Yep. I had the pleasure of going to Wembley twice and watched Cameron Burgess for the Aussies. And I tell you what, he didn't put a foot wrong in the game. Mind you, England were absolute crap. But I mean, apart from that, I watched him when he first came to the club, and me and you have the same opinion as me. I think. Let me just wow, who is this guy? Not that he's good. We thought he was rubbish, but he's improved so much in the 2 or 3 years. He really has, and I thought he may not be able to step up to the Championship. But he's done that quite easily, and I didn't ever think that he would step up to international football, and he did that effortlessly. He was tremendous, and Australia can take a lot of credit from the game. England won 1-0, but it was a poor performance. But the Aussies had their chances as well. So it's nice to know that you've got someone like that in the team, and he's dependable, and he's now first choice left centre back alongside Wolfie. And you sort of think, well, he's here to stay, and well done, because he's a bit like Brandon Williams. I didn't rate Brandon Williams when he first came to the club. He was like Leif Davis, and Leif Davis gave a penalty away his first game, and then Williams was equally as bad in his first game. But like Davis, Williams has come on really well, and I have to say, I'm really excited. I'm on the left or the right, but I'd have to say now he's first choice right back. Would you say that?
Yeah, I think so at the moment.
I mean, Harry Clark wouldn't say that, but
he thinks he's still got a chance of making a stake for that right back spot. But what you're saying, Terry, is that everybody that's come to the club over the last 18 months since Kieran McKenna's been here is a better player now for that experience of being under his guidance. George Edmondson has improved. Just looking at it defensively, Wolfie's improved.
Well, yes, well, he couldn't get any worse, but he has improved. Yeah, he's done very well. Very well.
You are his fan, really, aren't you?
I am his biggest critic, I think, more than fan. But I mean,
but he listens to you.
No, he never listens to me when I coach him.
No, that's taking notice. He doesn't take any notice of you, but he listens to you.
It's probably a good thing he never listened, but no. But I did, I think. But Wolf, he has improved.
Yeah,
as you're
got
right.
better.
That's a great point.
Yeah. So right across the team, right across the squad of players, they are all better players for having some time at Ipswich Town Football Club.
I mean, even Caden Jackson's a better player. I didn't like him at all. I'm still not particularly keen on him, but he's the actual equal in the league goals. He's equal second with about 2 or 3 others.
Yeah, he's coming on and doing a job.
How can that be? But I mean, there it is. It is what it is. He's done a great job.
I think me and you could have scored the one he got the other day.
Yeah.
On your right foot, maybe a bit dodgy, but
well, I did blast a few past Coop and a few past other goalkeepers in my career with my right foot.
Yeah.
But no, the whole thing is a big credit to the club, but particularly to the manager and the coaching staff as well. But particularly the manager. He's an ideal manager, and I know a lot of people are looking at him, and we never want him to go away because everybody's enjoying their football. Everybody loves going down there. The experience. The match day experience off the pitch, but on the pitch, it's just exciting stuff, isn't it? You never know what's going to happen. Yeah. We're going to score. And we were talking about this earlier. We don't score poor goals. We score unbelievable goals. Virtually every goal is sensational.
Great football from great goals off the back of great football.
We'll talk more about the season in a moment or two, but I want to stick with the internationals for a moment or two. What will it do for the club to have players like Luongo and Wes Burns, Broadhead, going out to international games? I mean, it helps lift the profile of the club tremendously, doesn't it? When they get
as long as they all come
caps.
back injury free.
Yeah, well, poor old Wes.
And that's the chance you're going to take. Yeah, poor old Wes. But it does raise the stature of the club again, and all it does is keeps putting the Ipswich Town name in front of everybody.
And I think as well with because I remember, I don't know if it's still there, but in the sort of bowels of Portman Road, they have this. They used to have this sort of Hall of Fame sort of thing. With, not the Hall of Fame, but it was a international with all the boys that have made international appearances for the club.
Yeah, whilst at Ipswich.
Yeah, and I'm not too sure who was it. Big
He's down there. He's going into the.
Is Big Al the leader? I'm not too sure, but there's a lot of players. And now the club's adding different players onto that list, and it is because if you come to Ipswich Town Football Club that you've got the setup here to improve and maybe possibly go and represent your country. That is a big thing. 4 or 5 years ago, that would have completely been the opposite. Come here as an international, and that's your career over.
Yeah, international recognition.
Yes.
I
mean, it just does the club. I would imagine that players that get international caps now will be going into the manager and just saying, by the way, I need some more money because I'm an international now.
Yeah. Did you do that? Did it work for Mr. Robson?
You must be joking. No chance. He probably took money off my wages, wouldn't he?
Yeah. All down.
Can you remember your call-ups?
Yeah.
Ron Greenwood was the manager, though, to start with. I think we both made our debut in Australia, in Sydney, on the cricket pitch. Even though Bobby Robson was in charge of the game, it was more or less as the backup squad that we went out there, and then they classified it as a full international. So that was the first call-up, and then my illustrious career. I think we've got about 88 full caps between us, haven't we? I've got 11.
But then we used to get the call-ups, and we used to go on to CFAX, and that's what we do.
CFAX? Would you like to explain that to our younger viewers and listeners?
We've got to be of a certain generation to remember that, and we are
black and white generation.
You got on CFAX because you got the next day after you've been announced in the squad, you got your international papers. It used to come through, and that blue paper used to come through, and you knew what it was with the England crest and all that sort of thing on it. So that was really nice. And then you had a list of all the things that you should take and you should wear and you should do and timings and all that sort of thing.
Then you go and see Pat and say, Pat, I've got this letter from the FA. Can you make sure that you remind me what time my car's picking me up and this and where we're going and everything?
Yeah, that was good. It was good, but it was nice. But you wondered if you were in the squad. And sometimes you used to hear it on the radio, but generally with CFAX, and remember CFAX when you had to scroll through, well, you couldn't really scroll. You have to wait till the page came on the next one, and then it was like 22 pages, and you just missed it by one page. The squad. Whoa. Yeah, it was good days, wasn't it?
I think there's a whole generation understands that CFAX story.
Something to Google later
Google
on if
it
you're
up,
not sure.
We never had Google in those days.
No,
never
not at all.
out, so.
No. What was it like when you? Because none of us have experienced it. So when you walk out, you're wearing the England shirt, and the national anthem strikes up. What is that moment like?
Well, for me, it was a case of the first time I did it at Wembley. Just very proud because you've got your family in the stadium, all your relatives, your relations, and it was just sort of a part of the long journey, because as a kid you'd always sort of dreamt of playing at Wembley, usually though in the FA Cup final, and then you thought, well, if I'm good enough to get there, then maybe I could play for England one day. It's a very proud moment, and you sing the national anthem, and really then you just want to get on with the game. And the game is just having a game of football with your pals again, so, but now you're playing with the best footballers out of all the people in the game, and it was a real honour to stand there at the old Wembley Stadium with the Twin Towers and everything, and it was very nice. Pitch wasn't the best. It used to sap the energy out of your legs quite quickly, but it was just It
wasn't like these modern pitches now.
No.
It was just lush grass, brilliant lush grass, and a lot of players used to do cartridges and things on there because your studs caught in the ground, and it was that lush. But it was wonderful, and I always remember a band used to play on Wembley before the game, because there's no organised warm up, so you used to go out. And I remember Waddle and Gascoigne taking a bag of balls out. I'm going to say they were like all the bandsmen in a square in the centre circle, and they're playing away and all this sort of thing. And it's great stuff. And then you've got Waddle and Gascoigne hitting balls between the lines of the musicians, and they're passing on the floor, and they'll take it and they'll pass on the floor, and then they'll go like right. So then they try and chip over the top. So they were going over, and I remember the Grenadiers with the Busbys. So there was a few just missed the Busbys. So then they were saying, well, they're getting bored with this. So then they would clip a ball over the top, and then they would try and keep it up in the air. So the touch would be up in the air, and then they'd volley it back. And some of them went low, some of them went high. And you can see the bandsmen are playing away, and they're looking around like this, seeing where all this, where the ball's coming and all that sort of thing. They're playing away. And then Gascoigne, I think Gazza hit a volley, and it hit the bugler right in the bugle, and he cut his mouth. He cut his mouth, so there had to be a substitution sort of thing. But no, and then as soon as Gazza did that, him and Waddle were straight in the dressing room and hiding, because the bandsman, the bugler, came to the. Remember, he used to go up the steps where the baths were at the back, and then there was a first aid post. He was in there. He was in there. We were all going, he's in here. Gascoigne's in here, to the bugler. He's in here. He is. He's the guy. So that's what they used to do.
Fantastic. Was he as mad as a box of frogs?
Madder. Yeah. He was. I mean, when we were older, so we knew. He was scared of us. So he was very careful around us. But he was just mad. He was funny at times, but other times he was just a little bit over the top. But what a player! And then looking at the game, has any of you seen Jude Bellingham live? Anybody seen him live? I mean, playing football live, nothing else. No, yeah. But he's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. I liken him to Gascoigne now, because he can actually take the ball past people and dribble past them and use his body, and he's very strong. But he's exceptional. I think he had 3 lungs, because he was just up and down, up and down, up and down all the time. But to watch him, he mesmerises you. You can just watch him, and he's always involved in the action. And when he goes to close people down, and the opponent's shielding the ball, he's behind him. He never fouls the guy. He's always there, but he's like a rash. He's all over him, but without committing the foul. So he's clever, and he's unbelievable. He's really good. And the only thing, he has these socks on, the England socks, and there's like 2 holes in the socks, like
around the back.
Yeah, like the kit room must have moths or something like that, because there's 2 holes. So I never knew what that was, but somebody said to me, it's because the socks are tight, and they feel that they need to cut the socks, so that you don't get cramp when it tightens up. What a load of rubbish that is, isn't it, really? What a
You didn't do that in your day, then?
No, it's like the socks over the knees. What is that all about? Would you ever do that? Bobby Robson would go apoplectic. He'd be like, get those socks off, and he would be, get them socks down.
But in our day, when we went in the changing room before a game, your shirts and your shorts would be hung up on a peg, but there'd be a pile of socks on the table, maybe about 20 pairs of socks, and that's all you got to choose from. It wasn't a new pair or 2 new pairs every game for you, and the players can cut the feet out of them these days and do whatever they like. They wear the under socks and pull those up over the top. Ours was like the socks that you've been using all season. They've been repaired if they ever got a hole in them, which they did quite often. And I've got a thing about socks. I like proper nice socks to play in. So I would always try and get in there early, and I would go through the whole pile, the 20 pairs of socks, trying to make sure I got the best pair possible.
I was the same with the shorts, because I didn't want to have a small pair of shorts, because I've got quite a big backside, so nothing else. But
they were a bit tight in your day, weren't they? The shorts on occasions.
Yeah,
they were a bit.
You used to go in, didn't they? Used to have a pile, didn't they?
Yeah.
And you used to rummage through the pile to try and get the extra large ones. Well, I did anyway. So I was trying to get the extra large ones, and if you didn't get them, it was like, who's got the extra large ones, and you want to go and batter them to even get them.
You had to do a deal, didn't you?
Yeah.
I've got a pair of large, I'll swap you the large for the extra.
You could say it's like dog eat dog, so it's a fight to get the right kit. So when you're in that fighting mode when you come to play, I don't know, perhaps Bobby thought that was the best thing to do. I don't know. I mean, should have bought some more bloody shorts, really. That would have been great.
Let's turn our attention to Ipswich Town. This bit of Ipswich Town chat brought to you in association with John Keeble Cars in Bramford. Second place Town back in action after the international break. Rotherham Friday night on the telly, aiming for another 3 points. I mean, they are lowly Rotherham at the moment. What are your thoughts on that?
3 points.
I think 3 points are more than capable of coming our way. Matt Taylor, the manager at Rotherham, good lad. Bright young manager. He was a player down at Exeter when I did some work down there for them a few years ago that actually got them back into the football league scene again. They were non-league at the time, but he's a sharp cookie. He's a bright boy. He's a great centre half himself, so got a lot of time for him. He's got 1 or 2 lads that can score a goal or two. I think the last game was against Southampton where they came away with a point, which was a big result for them. So they're no mugs.
But they've only won 1 game this season, and that was at home to Norwich. So we actually quite like Rotherham.
We love Rotherham, don't we? Yes, from that point of view, yes. No Freddie, though. He's out. He would have liked to have been playing against his old side.
Yep. But Freddie scores some goals. He's a second, when you look at the goals he scored, especially with his face, that was a peach, that one, wasn't it? Yeah. But no, we like him. He's a great alternative to have, but the Achilles is a problem for him, and he's going to miss out. So but there are other alternatives. Obviously, Caden can play through the middle if they want to, but George Hurst is getting into the role, getting better and better. So it is a fight for the starting 11 position, for the shirt, for the jersey sort of thing. Well, they have their own jerseys, but they have to fight for that, do they? But at the end of the day, if they're playing, but I think with the way that Kieran is set up, he's got virtually 9 out of the 11 all sort of tied up, probably 10, just the goalkeepers and just maybe 1 or 2 other areas. But he's got a hell of a squad. I mean, the squad is just perfect, really, because players come in, and this season's been better than last season in a way. When the players have been asked to come in and take the place of the regulars sort of thing, they've done really, really well.
And that's so important, isn't it? I mean, they've been looking for that, haven't they? Someone for every position twice over.
Yeah, we have
for
got
a while now.
Really strong squad now. Anytime they make a substitution, you're thinking, okay, this is going to be great because it's fresh legs. It's going to give the opposition a problem. And you feel sorry for the opponents sometimes, especially if the defenders, they've just done like 60 minutes against the Ipswich Town front line, and then let those three go off and 3 new fresh players come on, and they are all keen to impress and do their bit, and they want... Everybody is fighting to get in that Ipswich Town first team at the moment. Whether they're fighting to get 10 minutes, whether they're fighting to get a starting place in the team shape... Everybody is going out there with a purpose at the moment, and that's a big thing, that is, and the bonding between the players is so tight.
And I think if you look at the best 11, who would you have, Walton or Clacky?
Ooh, let's ask the capacity crowd. So we get camera on them. Hands up for Walton as our number 1. And then, okay, Hladky for our number 1.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
The crowd has spoken. Yeah.
And right back would be, I've put Williams down. Right back Williams. Anyone for Clark? No.
I'd go for Clarkey at the moment.
It's a tough call.
Yeah, but I might have Williams on the other side.
Oh. Right, okay.
I do.
Centre backs pick themselves, don't they? Wolfie and Burgess, I think. Yeah, everyone agree on that?
Yeah.
Well, this fella from Man U is being lined up in the next couple of weeks. Kieran said that he'll feature in the next couple of weeks today.
Yeah, but he's got to say that, hasn't he? So I wouldn't worry about that. Leif Davis, left back. Yes. Apart from Russell, I think we're all carried on that. No, I didn't like Leif Davis very much, to be honest. I thought he was quite weak, especially defending. But he's done pretty well. He's
done very well on the attacking side of things. And he could play left side midfield. I think in a way he's fortunate to play in that side at the moment because of the way it plays, because he gets a lot of space down that left-hand side and is just asked just to keep going up and down there and just keeps putting crosses in. I think sometimes he could just be a little bit more careful with his final ball and try and pick people out a little bit better. But listen, he's having a great season at the moment. But defensively, I still think he's got a little bit to learn. Okay,
but so we're picked on it. Midfield too?
Picks yourself? I would go...
Picks yourself, doesn't it?
The captain and the Aussie, yeah.
Yeah, Luongo. All agreement in that?
Yes.
And
Jack Taylor must feel a bit, don't you think? He's done when he's been asked to play. He's been great, and he was brought in. So I guess you've got to earn your place in the side. But he must be feeling a bit frustrated that he's not playing.
Yes, but he's not the starting 2, is he?
Or is he? No, clearly not.
I think we covered that, Mark.
All right, sorry.
And the front 4 really picks itself.
It picks itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why I just said that.
Yeah.
It picks itself. Burns, Chaplin, Broadhead, and Hurst. Yeah, that's pretty.
Who's going to take Wes's place this week?
That's a debate.
Hutchinson?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, he scored a couple of goals this season, some good goals.
I think he's quite good down the right-hand side as well, coming in on his left foot. Yeah. I think he gives him a bit more options there to either finish it himself or square people up on the edge of the box. He's good.
Yeah.
Do you think teams will... Have you finished?
Oh, yes, carry on. Yeah. It's your show, carry on.
No, that's all right. I didn't want to do a Pat Gobble to you. Or a Phil Ham to Pat Gobble, should I say. I was going to say, yes, do you think teams will start to suss us out now, or are we that good that even if they try and nullify our stuff...
I'll give you one example.
Go on.
The corner that we scored from, Connor Chaplin scored in the last game. They attempt that corner probably every game so far this season. And it hasn't really come off. And a lot of teams will be aware that they tried that corner. But when done properly and executed properly as it was, what a finish that was. What a set piece.
It's all about the block, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so you've got to get a few things right.
Yeah, Chaplin's just wandering around because he's a dwarf, so small that people don't really count him as he's going to score.
He's a daddy now as well.
He's a
by the
daddy
way.
now, yeah. Big daddy, well, small daddy, I would say, yeah. But the execution is so good. But the block is the thing that does it, because he'll be behind Burgess, or he'll be at Wolfie, or whoever it is. The big lump is marked by another big lump, and the dwarf, he's able to move. But it's played into an area where it's been vacated by town players. And the block is good, and if the block's good, then Connor, Chaplin.
Yeah. So our quality will out.
I think it will. I mean, I think teams. Ipswich in particular have played a variety of styles this year, really, but they've adapted to the situation on the pitch. And if teams are going to have what they call the low block, we just say, well, let they drop off and allow them Ipswich to have the ball at the back and pass it forward. Teams in the Championship now think that they can, we're going to play our game against Ipswich because we really like our game, and there's a bit more. It's not arrogance; it's a bit more confidence in the Championship than there is in League One. So there's more teams in League One would sit back, whereas teams in the Championship will go, which leaves them very vulnerable for the way that Ipswich play. But it's a very fluid system. I mean, when you look at the way that Ipswich can play, it is very fluid. But they win the ball back early, and off they go, and they find the gaps. And when it's a bit like watching us play, I like it because it's been like watching us play when we were starting to get things going with our system. And Eric Gates used to play in behind Mariner and Brazil. Well, now Ipswich have got Broadhead and Chaplin playing in behind Hurst. So there's still a front three, but it's sort of it's changed. Yeah. But they get into good spaces, don't they?
Yeah, but there's a combination of things though that go with that. It's the players being educated in how the team is playing, so that they all understand each other's roles, which this group of players do really well. Fitness levels are really good. Technically, they're very good. Which, don't want to sound big-headed about it all, but that's what we had. We all understood each other's strengths. We were as fit as you like, and we could pass the ball and do the best basics of the game very, very well. And that's what this team can do.
It's looking pretty good, isn't it? 28 points so far, which is not a bad haul, everybody, is it? It is fantastic at the moment.
Well, their table is just really nice to look at, isn't it? Yeah. It's 8 points between Ipswich and Preston. And we've beaten Preston, we've beaten Sunderland. The only problem is Leeds in there, but they've got injuries as well, so they're still quite a way back. And it is early days yet. We're less than a quarter. No, we're over. I don't know what my mass is, but 11 games is not a long way into the season, so there's still a bit to go.
It'd be lovely to see us continue to pull away, though, wouldn't it, from the pack behind? And
well, you can only beat what's in front of you, and Rotherham are a prime example of you can win. You've got the ammunition. You just got to make sure that make every bullet count, sort of thing.
Well, it's a very exciting season so far. I'm absolutely loving it. You loving it? Yeah. We've waited so long, haven't we? I thought we'd never see any success ever again. And some of the young fans, of course, are experiencing it all for the first time, which is just fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's really pleasing to see, isn't it? The smiles on people's faces when you go to Portman Road. There weren't many smiles a few years ago, was there? So, my goodness me. And I think it's for us who have savoured. We had good times, and then we've had the really bad times. You've got to, you enjoy the good times if you've gone through some form of depression, and we had a big depression here for many years. So I'm glad that's gone. Gives you the shivers, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did actually. It wasn't great at times. It really wasn't. We'll come back and talk some more in a moment or two. We're not going to do a keep you up challenge this week unless any of the capacity crowd want to give it a go. No, they've all melted into the background. Yeah. But sponsored by Ginger Pickle, so our sponsor does get a mention on the show. Well done, Ginger Pickle. And I just thought I'd have a look at the leaderboard. The strongest performance so far is Terry Butcher with 3, Phil Ham with 6, Mark Murphy with 10, Mickey Stockwell on 11, Russell Osman 28. Jason Dazelle, who I saw in town yesterday, and he was absolutely thrilled with his 49. He wants to come back because he didn't realise that you could bounce it off the walls. So he said, if I can bounce it off the walls like others have done, he said, I'll get to the top of the leaderboard. So
he wants to come back just for that.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Should have gotten back tonight, actually.
Should have done.
Yeah, give him a call.
Taxi.
49. Connor Chaplin, 52. Alan Lee, 58. Chambo at the top on 59 on our leaderboard.
There you go.
So well done to all of those who've taken part. Russell, it's time to take a look at what's happened on this day in the past, and that's sponsored by Fred Olsen Logistics.
Well, on this day in the past, let's go to Thursday, the 19th of October, 1961.
Who was
This
born?
is quite interesting, this.
One or two
Irish international Kevin O'Callaghan was born in Dagenham. He made 115 top-flight appearances with 43 from the bench, which you kept reminding him about.
Yes.
Yes.
That was the highlight of him coming off the bench and playing. I think.
And he was capped 17 times by the Republic of Ireland whilst at Portman Road. And he appeared in the nation's record victory and the nation's record defeat. The record victory was an 8-0 win over Malta in 1983, and the record defeat was 7-0 at the hands of Brazil a year earlier. Poor old Kev. Also, on Wednesday, the 19th of October in 1977, Spain's Las Palmas were defeated 1-0 thanks to Eric Gates in the UEFA Cup, second round, first leg at Portman Road. And that is your moment in history.
Isn't the away leg of that game one where there was very, very few programmes done? I don't know if any of you are programme experts, but I think there were like a handful of programmes for that, and they're very, very rare. And of course, all the journos who went got a copy of the programme, so several of them have cashed in over the years by flogging off the programmes for that particular away leg of that game. I think I'm right in that. I'm not sure now you're looking at me like that, Butch, but
I believe you, Mark.
thank you.
I believe everything you say.
Thank you. Let's do some questions from our capacity crowd. John, have you got a question, John? You were thinking of one. Let's go to our capacity crowd here.
Well, I'll take you back to England. We started the show with England. It was a great performance against Italy, I thought, and Bellingham, as you said, had a fantastic performance. But looking back over the years, what do you rate as the best England performance by an England player? I know who I think played best for England, but who would you think gave us the best performance in an England shirt?
Not many to pick from, to be honest.
Bobby Moore, 66.
Bobby Moore, 66. You've got to say Jeff Hurst, 66. You know, he may not have done anything else in the game, but he certainly scored 3 goals. You know, he won us the World Cup, so it doesn't get any higher than that. But we've seen some great performances. One of my favourite ones was 1996 in the European Championships. England 2, Scotland 0. Especially as I lived in Scotland at the time, it was fantastic, brilliant. And the goal from Gascoigne, I thought Gascoigne was unbelievable, virtually unplayable that day. So, yeah, I mean that sticks in the mind very well. But there's been a lot, you know. You thinking of all the years, all the eras. It's really nice.
Beckham against Greece?
No, that was just one free kick he took and he scored.
Malcolm McDonald, 5-0?
No.
Kevin Beattie, header against Scotland.
Yeah, no, that was very
London.
good. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, it's 5-1. Yeah. But Scotland-England was always the game that you obviously saw the FA Cup live, wherever you were and who you supported, and then the next week or the following weeks, there was England-Scotland or Scotland-England. They was broadcast live, weren't they? There very few games were live broadcasts in those days.
So you played in those games. What I guess you were playing against what? Burley Walk,
Yeah.
Brazil.
Yeah. My first one was 82, and it was George Burley played and Alan Brazil played.
What was that like, playing against your teammates?
It was great. We won. No, it was a hard job getting Alan Brazil out of my back pocket, but there we go. Because he was a big boy then.
So what was the England-Scotland game at Hampden when we went to see the Rolling Stones a couple of nights before?
Yeah.
We got invited down
that was it.
That was it. We got invited to go down to the Glasgow Apollo and watch the Rolling Stones on the
Thursday night.
Thursday night?
Thursday night.
Because it was also the replay of the FA Cup. Because we sat in the changing room watching Man City against Spurs.
Yeah.
Ricky Villa. he skipped through and scored one of the goals. And I was sitting on the sofa. There's Mick Jagger, Kevin Keegan, Terry Mariner, and Ronnie Wood was over there somewhere, having a drink. And they invited us in there, watched the game for half an hour, then kicked us out. By the time we got round to the seats, the music started. Ladies and gentlemen.
It didn't quite, because if you remember, we got to the seats, and the seats are right in the middle of the auditorium, and there was quite a few of us in the party. So, and you could see all the Scots there, all the jocks. They're like looking at you, saying they're like nudging everybody. So the Werby went right the way round the theatre, the Apollo, and they started to, and we were thinking, oh my goodness, and they started to sing, England get it. So as a swear word come out, I can't possibly say, because we'd have to tick a box if I swore. And they started to build up the noise, and it was getting a bit tasty. And then, as you say, ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome the Rolling Stones? So thank God for that. So we were all right. But we got away quick. But you never get that now. You go to a concert, a pop concert on a Thursday night before an international match on a Saturday. And we used to go, I always remember England squads, we used to go, we meet up on a Sunday, wasn't it, the White Hart. We used to go to the White Hart, get drunk, and then play training the next day. Bonding, it was team bonding. The next day. And then we would go to Walthamstow Dogs.
Dog track.
Walthamstow
Or Wembley,
Dogs.
it might be on at Wembley.
It was on Wembley the Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So we used to go along on the Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So we'd go to the Dogs, to the Greyhounds, on the Monday and Tuesday night.
For a bit more bonding.
Yeah.
2 pints of
Fair.
2 pints of bonding,
So loads
please.
of bonding, yeah. It went down very well. We didn't necessarily win on the Wednesday, but we generally did, yeah.
Do you remember the first song the Rolling Stones played that night?
Oh, no, well done, go on.
You Can Start Me Up.
Start me up. Yeah. Wow.
So let me just take you back, because you kind of just dropped that in. So you went backstage and you were sitting with Jagger and...
Yes, you do. Of course you do that. There's no problem at all. Lovely.
Excuse me, Mick and Bill.
Mick
and Bill. Yeah.
We said, they were... I said to Bill Wyman, I says, and Charlie Watts, are you not going to warm up? Do you need to warm up? And he was like, no. They just had a cup of tea and said, he says, Mick and who was it? The others are warm, Ronnie, and Keith Richard. They're all warming up. They have a thing that they warm up, and I think I saw Keith Richard come out with a bottle of Jack Daniels. So I thought, well, that's the warm up we should actually do where we play. Where we go out there in front of people. It's great. No, it was just sensational. Now it would be unheard of in many respects, But to go and see the Rolling Stones it's brilliant.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I think Will from Wicker Market's here as well. Wants to have a quick little word. You're looking very dapper tonight. We'll come right up close to that microphone.
Well,
Will.
I thought, Mark, after last week, you having Pat Godbold here, who was beautifully turned out, brought a bit of class, I felt, for a change to the show. I should turn myself out like the directors used to for her. So this is for Pat tonight. And I've known Pat for 40 or 50 years, and if she's watching, I won't let on any of our little secrets, dear. But it was always wonderful to see her, and we often used to see her at Glenham Hall, where my family lived. And we used to get invited once a year to the pre-season barbecue. Do you remember, Terry? Russell, do you remember that?
Vaguely.
And you boys used to turn up there grudgingly, I always felt. You were told you'd got to come there, I think. Mm-hmm. And they used to turn up late. They'd scoff the burgers. They'd eat the strawberries. And they'd wait for the team talk. Somebody used to give it. David Sheepshank in his day. Or Philip Hope Cobble was the best. Because his was very short and sweet. Get your bloody finger out, he used to say to the boys. But did you really enjoy those?
I did. It was a good
You
night
did?
out, yeah.
Once we were there, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always remember that Bobby Robson used to come along, and he was always the last one to leave.
No, he wasn't.
Wasn't he?
No.
Who was it?
No, usually Alan Hunter. Because Alan usually put Mr. John or Mr. Pat to bed and locked up and put the keys back through the letterbox.
But it's funny you should say that, because Alan told me once that they went around the house. You could go and look around the house, couldn't you, if you wanted to?
Yeah.
And he found out where Patrick's bedroom was.
Yeah.
And Patrick had got a jerry pot under the bed, and they pulled it out and they filled it to brimming full with water and slid it gently back again. But Mark, it's always an honour to be here as one of the fans. Do you mind if I just sit on the sofa just for a minute?
Yeah, I think we can arrange that for you. Just come out. Come and sit there, look. I'll move the Kevin Beattie tribute cushion. There you go, look.
Well, this is a dream I've had since the 1980s. Lining up alongside Terry Butcher and Russell Osman.
Thank
Russell,
you.
you're left back. You're playing in place of Leif Davis.
I can do it.
You're right back. Okay. And that lot over there, the midfield and the strikers, I'm not so sure about that lot, are you?
No, they're looking.
No. But we do sit quite close to each other at the football, don't we, boy?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Not
now
too
in
far.
the select, they're in the director's box, of course. And we do meet a lot of nice people, don't we?
Very nice.
The other week we saw Rick Wakeman for a start. Rick Wakeman, lovely man. He came on your show once,
He
too.
has been on the show, yeah.
And he says that he's been married so many times he's got an inflatable wedding cake now. Lovely man. But I always remember just a little story, if you don't mind. Are you all right for time?
Yeah, we're fine, yeah.
Yeah. We get all sorts coming
We
there.
were all
Bobby
right, yeah.
Charlton, and Michael Foot come there once. Anyway, on one occasion, Jim Davids has come. And he likes to drink. Oh, Jim Davison. You know Jim Davison. He can be a bit smutty, shall we say. But anyway, he was particularly good on this occasion. And he turned to me. He was sitting right next to me. He said, you had a great manager, he said, with Bobby Robson. He said, what a lovely man, he said. I saw him once, he said, in a hotel in London. He said, and I made a beeline for him. And I was just about to introduce myself to him. And he said, hold it there. Bobby Robson, hold it here. He said, I've got some friends. I want to introduce you. So Jim Davison said he went across and gathered his friends together, brought him across to Jim Davison. He said, gentlemen, he said, let me introduce you to my favourite comedian of all time, Freddie Starr.
Yeah, that sounds
He
like
said,
Bobby.
I went off him a little bit. Anyway, thank you very much for the honour of sitting on this here
No, it's a
sofa
pleasure.
with you.
Pleasure.
Great guys, thank you.
Well done, Will. Fantastic. Brilliant. Mr. R, as Pat called him last week, did have a habit of getting people's names and things wrong, didn't he?
A few. We met Rolf Harris, actually. I know, and it's a funny one to talk about, but, you know, and Sir Bobby introduced him to all the playing staff as Ralph Horace. So I'm just about correct there.
Yeah. I think Roy, he said, thank you very much, Brian Robson. Right. So he got his own back, but no, we don't mention that one really.
No, we don't. No, we don't talk about him anymore. But what about when he was England manager? I mean, there's stories of him. Didn't he get Kenny Sansom's name wrong at one point?
I think he got everybody's name wrong, didn't he?
Yeah.
He even got his own name wrong once.
I thought correct me if I'm wrong, I thought they got to an airport going to one of the World Cups, and he wanted to have a little meeting with all the players just before they boarded the flight. I forget which one it was. And he gathered all the players around, and he's looking for Peter Reid. You know, and where's Reedy? He's always late, Reedy. Where's Reedy? You know, he's got everybody there. You know. And one of the lads had to say to him, he said, Gaffer, you didn't include him in this squad this time. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. He's right. Yeah. Yeah. No, he wasn't the best with names. He called. Let's see the one where he was. Stuart Pearce made his debut, and I'm playing alongside him. So it's obviously at Wembley, and Bobby's there. So he comes out. Bobby comes out to the touchline after about 5 minutes, and starts shouting, "Gary, Gary!" He says, "Gary!" So nobody looks. We're thinking, who's Gary? Wasn't a Gary on the pitch? Gary! He's going. So the next 5 minutes passes, and he goes back, and then he comes out again. Gary! For goodness sake! So Piercy says to me, who's he talking to? And I says, I don't know. I says, Gary. He says, so Stuart says, he called me Gary once. He says, he called me Gary. So after 10 minutes, he comes out again, and there's a lull in play, break in play. Someone's injured. So then Stuart Pearce goes over to Bobby and just says, Bobby, he's thinking that Bobby's going to say something tactically. You know, you've got to tuck in a bit more. You've got to do this because it's his debut. And so he says to the gaffer, he says, who do you want, boss? Do you want? Don't have a Gary in the team. And he says, no, you're Gary. And he says, no, I'm not Gary. He says, so Stuart. Then he says, so Stuart's like, well, what do you want, gaffer? What's the matter? What's up? And he thought he was going to say something really technical. He just said, tuck your shirt in, will you? So he saw he had his shirt slightly out. So he wanted him, because Bobby was like that.
Yeah, fantastic.
If your bit of your kit was wrong, he'd tell you, because he wanted everything to be right.
Well, he was very successful, wasn't
standards,
he?
yeah.
Standards, what it's all about, isn't it? What a great man he was. Fantastic. Look, we're nearly out of time, but we do have, fresh off the printer, this week's Man v Fat football results. So we have the Seattle Quarter Pounders 2, Far From Athletic 6, LA Galaxy Bar 5, Pork Vale 11, Man Titty 12, To Lose a Few Pounds 4, L'Argentina 12, Dynamo Kebab 11, finally FC 20 Stone 10,
It's not easy for you to say, Mark. Go on.
Barely Athletic 7. There we go. There are the Man v Fats.
I couldn't actually bring myself to support L'Argentina.
No, I didn't think you would be able to. No. We don't mention Maradona or Argentina in your company, do we?
You did.
I know. That'll be me in the car park after the show now.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, look, thanks, boys. Thank you very much. Russell Osman, Terry Butcher, everybody. Next week on the show, we'll be joined by former World Darts champion and massive Town fan Keith Della. He's got some great stories to tell. He was a ball boy and he was great friends with the legend that is Kevin Beattie. So we'll hear some interesting stories from Keith next week on the show. And the week after, I think I can tell them, can't I? Craig Forrest is going to be on the show. So we're going to catch up with Craig all the way from Canada. To keep in touch, check out our Life's a Pitch socials on Facebook, Insta and X. On YouTube, please like and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, but it helps us with the channel. And don't forget lifesapitch.tv, our website, where you can get merch, shirts, mugs, all sorts of things, and tickets to our big show on the 30th of November. Thanks again to our main sponsor, DPS Tech, also supported by All About Hearing, marketing company Ginger Pickle, Forward Floors, Come Hither Design, the Hudson Group, Sound 4 Pro Audio, Fred Olsen Logistics, John Keeble Cars in Bramford. I don't think there's anything left to sponsor on the show, but I'm sure we can come up with something if you'd like to join us.
Brilliant.
Thank you to Capacity Crowds. And up the town against Rotherham this week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Pretty good.